everyone. Thank you for being here again. This is Hudson Santana from Santana Properties team with Emily, Richarde, and Derrick Lizzotte. Emily is our operations manager, and Derrick is our director of marketing. We're here to give you an update on the real estate market.
All right, so we're looking at the market in Miami and also the market in some towns in Boston. So let's start with Miami. The inventory in Brickell, Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, and South Miami is 3,426, which is down 16% from last year. So that is a considerable decrease in the number of listings. The median days on market is 97, which is up 17% from last year. The average sale price is $845, which is up about 6% from last year. And the number of sold properties is 683, which is down 17%. So we're seeing an increase in the sale price, but also an increase in the days on market.
I don't think the increase on sale price is that relevant. I think it might be for different reasons. The part that I think it's more interesting is understanding that when we did our first video about a month ago, the inventory was down almost 30%, and now it's only down by 16%, which probably shows that a lot more properties are going on the market. And you know, I think people went through the scarcity of this virus, and now they're realizing that they either have to buy or sell. But it's still 16% for the Miami market. I think it's a great number because we're already known for having a lot of inventory. So being down 16%, I think it's going to help the prices. That's why I think this is the first chart that we're seeing that the prices are actually up. In the previous ones, the prices were down about 8 or 9%. So that's great.
Yep. So then in the Boston area, we're looking specifically at Arlington, Cambridge, Medford, Somerville, and Watertown. And we're seeing that there is a pretty large decrease in inventory, down 37% from last year with 282 listings. The median days on market is 21, which is pretty similar to last year. The average sale price is $985, which is up a bit by 8%. And the number of sold properties is 766, which is down 18% from last year.
Yeah, I think this is where we're seeing a huge impact. I mean, the inventory in Boston is already limited, and the fact that we have 37% less properties on the market is huge. The days on the market only being down 2%. Yeah. Properties are not going to sell much faster than 21 days, right? I mean, that's very, very quick. I don't think we're going to see a decrease on that. Prices are up 8%. It's just interesting, like seeing the, again, number of transactions down by 18%. Huge impact. I think that like what we are noticing is the people that we're seeing either buying or selling are the people that are very motivated. We're also seeing a lot of the people that are not sure what to do. They're kind of taking a pause. And I think these numbers are reflecting that, even though the inventory is down by a lot, the days on the market is similar and the prices are not that much higher because, again, I don't think there's that many more buyers out there, mainly the ones that are really motivated. So
I think 3 of our 4 newest listings sold in the first 5 days in the market.
Yeah.
So
yeah, people are motivated. So here are the charts for Arlington. In the number of closings, we can see that there is a gap from last year, but it's not that huge of a gap. It's pretty close. In terms of the active listings, we jumped up this week from last week from 24 to 38. So that's a nice increase to see, but it's still spread apart from 2019 where there were 53 at this time.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Arlington that we've seen is that properties are selling, but we're not seeing that much attendance, that many showings, right? We're seeing that there are less people out there, but the people that are out there are serious. So we're, in the last few listings that we've had, we haven't seen like multiple offers, but in many of them, but we are seeing properties going for asking price or above. Yeah. Because the ones that are out there, they're very serious. They need to buy, or they really want to buy. So yeah, no, this is good. The numbers are tracking pretty similar to last year, and seeing an increase in inventory is good. And I think now that Massachusetts is starting to reopen, we're going to see that number, that gap being even smaller.
Yeah, I agree. The listings should definitely increase.
Yeah.
All right, in Cambridge, we can see that the gap between 2019 and 2020 is definitely widening this week, with 226 last year and 178 this year, in this week in May. And we can see that the gap in the listings is pretty similar. It's not spreading apart much there. It's just staying at a similar amount apart.
Yeah, Cambridge has been really interesting. I am a little surprised of the amount of listings that have been sitting on the market. As much as we're still down on the number of active listings, there's some really good properties that, if this was a year ago, they would have been gone, and they've been just sitting there. I'm wondering if it has to do with the fact that people aren't sure whether the universities are going to have classes, again, even in September. So whether they're hesitant to buy or to put up their properties for sale because of that. But we're definitely gonna, we're just ending the second quarter of real estate because of the amount of time that it takes for a property to close. So we're gonna start really seeing the results of this coronavirus in the next couple of weeks, as far as the real impact on the market.
But again, it'll be interesting to see what happens when things reopen more. We could, there's a possibility to catch back up, just depending on how this pans out.
Exactly.
So for Medford, it's similar to Arlington, where the gap isn't that wide between the number of closings. But there is still a gap in the number of active listings, but it's not that terrible. We went up by a bit this year, and it went up by a bit last year as well. So there is a gap, but it's not increasing in terms of the number of active listings, which makes me feel hopeful.
Yeah, the question is whether, the market is about to open, right? That Medford was one of the ones that had the most strict closings in regards to businesses, in regards to real estate, meaning that they actually did not allow property showings, in-house showings for a while. So it's just going to be like, now that they're reopening, we're going to see whether it's going to catch up or whether it's going to stay a little wide from last year. I personally believe that we're probably going to see this trend to be very similar. I don't think we're going to catch up to last year. If anything, I think the gap is going to continue to widen.
In Somerville, it's a similar story to Cambridge, where the number of closings from last year to this year are widening out even more. There's 65 listings difference in number of closings. So it was 268 last year, and it's 203 this year. And then in terms of the listings, it's again similar, where we're just seeing a gap. It's not widening, but it definitely is a considerable gap between 2019 and 2020.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Again, I think the market's staying really strong because there's really nothing for sale. I mean, it's a lot less than last year. But what we're seeing is some of the new properties they're going out very fast, but some of the listings that have been sitting on the market, they're just staying on the market. Like, we're not seeing a huge amount of showings. We're not seeing, I feel like the buyer pool is definitely smaller. Where the buyers that are out there, they're very serious. They are writing offers. They're pulling the trigger. but I think buyers are becoming a lot pickier as far as what they want in order for them to be able to pull the trigger on something. And again, we are going to see this we're going to start seeing the impact of this coronavirus from now on, because of now we're seeing the closings of when this whole thing started. So we might see a big difference in prices. We might see a big difference in days on the market and number of closings.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said this earlier, that if we have a decrease in 38% in number of listings from last year, we should see a similar decrease in number of closings, but we're not seeing that. It's about half. So that just is a sign that the market is strong. The Boston market is a very strong market, but that we'll see what happens in the future. So in Watertown, the gap in closings is not huge, but it is starting to spread a bit more, where we saw only one closing last week.
Wow.
And in active listings, there's a big spike in 2019, but a drop in 2020. So that gap just exploded this week. I think it was a 55% difference from 67 to 30.
Yeah, most of these charts, it looks like right around the quarantine, we kind of dipped off in active listings, but then we're almost on like the same pace, just below from last year. But this one doesn't quite show that, especially this week.
Yeah, the interesting factor about this week is that it's a holiday. We have a holiday weekend coming up, so I don't believe we're gonna see a lot of properties hitting the market, and that might have something to do with why the gap is close. This wide now, because a lot of people wait to put their house on the market after the holiday. So we might see a big spike next week, because of the holidays.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now Coconut Grove. In Coconut Grove, this is interesting. We have more closings in 2020 than in 2019. And so because of that, we were very curious, is it single families that are selling more in Coconut Grove this year, or condos? So what we decided to do was to split those apart to see what we could find. So for active listings, we can see that in both single families and condos, there are less active listings in 2020 than we saw in 2019, and about the same space between the two. But if we look over at the other chart, you can see that the number of closings for single families you'll see in blue, and for condos you'll see in yellow. And we have more of both. We have more condo closings in 2020 than in 2019, and more single family closings in 2020 than 2019. So I don't know exactly what's happening in Coconut Grove, but whatever it is, it's good.
Yeah. I mean, the Grove is such a great market. It has so much to offer. I think a lot of people are realizing that, a lot of people want to be here. I mean, on my street, there was one property that, we didn't think was going to move very quickly, and it was listed on the market for $4.6 million, and it went under agreement during the COVID quarantine. It just closed. I had guessed originally that the real price for that house was right around 3.6, and I was like shocked when I saw that it was listed for 4.6 and it went under contract. However, yesterday I found out that it closed for 3.8, okay, which makes a lot more sense, and I think is one of those situations where I think people are realizing that, if I wanted to live in the house of my dreams, this probably sparked that dream back up because of you being stuck in your home and not being able to do anything, right? But I don't know. This is really interesting, seeing more closings on both areas. One of the things I've been hearing a lot is a lot of people moving from New York to this area.
Yeah.
This is a pretty ideal area for people that are coming from very dense urban areas, because you get the shops, the restaurants, the walkability, but you have more space, right? The people are coming from New York, the condos here are much bigger, or you'll have the ability to buy a single family home, and there's a lot of activities for you to, walk to places or to ride your bikes and stuff. So it's a very positive sign. I'm excited to see that there's more properties selling. I have noticed that as far as on the condo market, that there's not that much inventory. I don't know if you, in certain criterias, the inventory is way down from last year. If you're looking at a townhouse where last year you can probably find a used, not a brand new townhouse, right? But like something that probably from 10, 20 years ago, you could find a lot of those listed anywhere between 680 to 7.25. Right now, you only have one on the market. Most of the other ones are listed for above 800, which showing that there's really nothing available for that kind of buyer. So anyway, this is a really good sign. It looks like the properties are selling, and that we also have a decent amount of active listings compared to last year.
All right, so now let's take a look at Coral Gables. We can definitely see the decrease in the amount of listings in Coral Gables as compared to last year, but it's leveled out, from April to May, so it doesn't seem to be dipping too much further. And in terms of closings, there is a gap from last year to this year, about 40, but it's not massive, but we may see it increase as time goes on.
Yep. Yeah, this is great. Again, this one, like some of the other ones we're seeing, it's very similar, and it's trending up the same kind of direction as before. We're just seeing a gap in the amount of properties, but I think it's natural not to have as many listings or as many closings since we've been all going through a quarantine. It's going to be interesting to see again in the next few weeks, because we're starting to see the real impacts of the properties that were listed during the quarantine that are now closing.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
so
well,
the data.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Emily. Thank you, Derrick. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful. And feel free to send us questions, send us emails, and giving us a call if you'd like us to dive any deeper into any subject or town. And we hope to see you here next time. Have a great day.